All righty. We are ready to reconvene our open session. As we do that, I'm going to read that we have one of our trustees is not here with us, but is going to be participating in the meeting. So I'd like to announce for the record that this meeting is being conducted pursuant to California Government Code Section 54953B concerning teleconferencing of meetings. Trustee McDougall is participating in this meeting by speakerphone from the Embassy Suites in Santa Ana, 1325 East Dyer Road, Santa Ana, California. In accordance with the Brown Act, this location has been identified on the agenda for the meeting. Is Trustee McDougall called in yet? Okay. Can we go on or? Okay. All right. That takes us to our land acknowledgement. We recognize that the Mount Diablo Unified School District sits on the territory of the Confederated Villages of the Lashon and, the ancestral and unceded land of the Bay Miwok and Northern Yokot, the successors of the sovereign Verona Band of Contra Costa County. As members of the Mount Diablo Unified School District community, it is vitally important that we not only recognize the history of the land on which we learn, but also we recognize the land we inhabit and learn on is the ancestral land of these people who are alive and flourishing members of the Mount Diablo Unified School District and broader Bay Area communities today. But for the record, as the folk that are here, roll call, Trustee Mayo.
Here.
Trustee Nzewi.
Here.
Trustee Barrera-Oriana.
Here.
Trustee Mason's here. I do not believe that Trustee McDougall has joined us as yet, but we will stay tuned for that. So join me in the pledge, please. I pledge to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, that takes us to review and potential approval of minutes for the regular board meeting held May 13th, 2026.
Madam President, I move the board approve the minutes for May 13, 2026 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Trustee Mayo, a second by Trustee Nzewi. Trustee Barrera-Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
Are other trustees joining us?
Hello.
Okay. Now, in accordance with the Brown Act, I'm going to read this following to you. This location has been identified for this meeting. I will ask you, are you able to hear our proceedings on this end?
Yes.
Do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
Yes.
Has the agenda been posted at your location?
Yes.
Is your location such that any member of the public could participate in the public portions of the teleconference meeting from your location?
Yes.
Okay, members of the board, are you all able to hear Trustee McDougall?
Yes.
Okay. We are just proceeding with approving the minutes from the last meeting. How do you vote?
Trustee McDougall.
Thank you.
You have to do voice for all of us, don't you?
So
Oh, okay.
there we go. 4-0-1.
Great.
Trustee Lawrence not being here. Okay. Now review and potential approval of the agenda.
And the notes. I would like to pull item 18.3 that will be presented on 6/24. And that is it.
I move that we approve the agenda with the removal of item 18.3.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do I have to do a voice vote straight across? Okay, so, trustee Aurel Boriana,
Yes.
I got it backwards, but that's all right. Trustee Mayo,
Yes.
trustee Zawi,
Yes.
trustee McDougal,
Yes.
thank you. Okay, and we're going to report out on closed session at this time. 7.1, report out of action taken in closed session, discipline, dismissal, release, or reassignment of public employee. In closed session by a vote of 5-0, the board took action to approve the non-reelection of 2 certificated employees. In closed session by a vote of 5-0, with no absenteeism, the board took action to approve the resignation of 1 employee per separation agreement. Under existing litigation, the board met in closed session with legal counsel to discuss the matter of existing litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D1 by a vote of 5-0 in the matter of Bailey versus Mount Diablo Unified School District, U.S. District Court, case number 324CV00188CRB. The board approved a settlement up to the stipulated amount and accorded to settlement terms. The board met in closed session with legal counsel to discuss a matter of existing litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D1 by a vote of 5-0 in the matter of MD versus Mount Diablo School District, OAH, case number 20251200040. The board approved a settlement up to the stipulated amount and according to settlement terms. Under liability, the board met in closed session by a vote of 4-0 with 1 absent to reject a liability claim for damages pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.95. Consideration to hear appeal of a decision in a complaint against an employee per Board Policy 1312.1 in a matter of the board by a vote of 4-0 with 0-1. The board decided not to hear or appeal to the complaint against a district employee pursuant to the board administrative policy regulation 1312.1. And that takes us to public comment. Okay, we will have 2 minutes per speaker. Brandon Lawson.
Okay, so it starts when I start speaking.
I usually give you grace in introducing yourself before I start.
Okay, thank you. Okay, my name is Brandon Lawson. I'm a teacher. I was a former employee here. Okay, so my name is Brandon Lawson. Currently have a lawsuit against this district because last August, the district hired me, gave me a hiring packet, said you were hired. They gave me emails. They even sent me numerous text messages about, to this day, giving me updates on things that are happening on the campus. And then the moment I reached out about a complaint towards another district in regards to Mount Diablo, I was told that I was never employed. I failed the pre-employment process despite already being told I was hired, despite being able to pick up shifts. So I'm not here to convince the district or anything, right? The reason why I'm bringing this up to you guys is because I already have a lawsuit against Mount Diablo since last December. It's been going on now. We have more hearings coming up in this December. We have a case management conference coming up in August. the more it keeps going on, the more money that the district is spending to litigate against me. I do not have a lawyer. I am pro se. I'm a full-time teacher. So it costs me nothing to keep this up. Yet the district decides to keep on spending tax-paying dollars just to convince me that I was never hired. Again, it's literally a waste of time to try to prove that I was never hired by a district, even though I have tons of emails and files. I'm pretty sure people like these people have more important things than their tax-paying dollars going towards that. Because at the end of the day, the superintendent said, hey, you will never be in front of our kids ever. You will never be in front of our kids. That was back in August. Here we are almost a year later, and yet I'm still in front of you, still teaching, right? I have another lawsuit against another school district that's been going on for a whole year, right? The proof of the reason why I bring this up is showing you that this is not costing me anything. This is going to keep going on. The longer this keeps going on, the longer the district is the one losing money. They're losing money trying to litigate against me. So a simple proposal would be to just settle. Okay, just settle. And not, it's fine because I could keep this going up longer and longer. I'm a full-time teacher, I work, and I keep this going on. That's all I want to say.
Thank you.
That's it.
Betty Vigil.
Can you tilt the microphone towards you? It's flexible. There you go.
Hi, my name is Betty Vigil. Good evening. I am writing to share my experience during the 2025-2026 school year and to request the district carefully review the manner in which my concerns were handled. I began working at Fair Oaks Elementary School during the 2024-2025 school year as a special ed assistant 3. That school year was one of the best years of my 25 career in education. I felt valued, supported, and proud to serve students and contribute to the school community. As I entered the 2025-2026 school year, I was excited to continue supporting students and helping our school succeed. Prior to the events described in this letter, I had just received a perfect performance evaluation and was recognized for my 25 years of service to the district. As part of that recognition, nearly every staff member at my site took the time to write positive comments and words of appreciation regarding my dedication, professionalism, and positive impact I have had on students, staff, and the school community. I was repeatedly described as a valuable asset to school. These acknowledgments reflected their work ethic, commitment, and professionalism that I have demonstrated throughout my career and make the events that followed even more difficult to understand. Unfortunately, within the first week of school, I have experienced what I believe was a toxic and hostile work environment created by the classroom teacher to whom I was assigned. Throughout the year, I experienced ongoing bullying, exclusion, dismissal, and disrespectful treatment. I was frequently ignored and excluded from important communications that were necessary for me to perform my job effectively. Wow. Thank you.
You can get to answer. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. James Eben.
Gotta follow Betty, gotta move this up. Good evening, board, Dr. Clark. My name is James Eben. I'm the newly assigned labor relations representative for CSEA Chapter 43. In my first 10 days since June 1st, I must share the district has not left a good first impression. Ryan Sheehy informed me that the district doesn't believe our members are entitled to certain rights that have been in place for all public employees since 1975, which is an obvious violation of a member's due process. I'm also concerned about the pattern of retaliation against employees who report concerns through the district's appropriate procedures. Once the concerns are reported, employees begin to receive warning after warning after warning, documenting alleged misconduct. In a similar vein, Discipline is being sought against employees without providing them with any evidence of that misconduct. In one scenario, the district presented an employee with a last chance agreement, stating that they would terminate the employee if they didn't sign it. The agreement presented no factual basis for the district's claims. Additionally, this agreement, if signed, would have made the employee waive all of the rights that they received through our negotiated agreement. Thankfully, that employee never signed. These are only a few of my concerns, especially since we have less time tonight. I want to share that I look forward to meeting with other members of the district team later this month as we continue negotiating the impacts and effects of the district's classified layoffs and our discussions related to the unilateral removal of money from a fund that requires mutual consent of CSEA and the district for expenditures. I hope that as we move forward, the district will be able to show that it not only values its employees, but also treats them fairly. Thank you.
Angel, there's Angel.
All right, all right. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. All right. So good evening, President Ms. Mason, Superintendent Mr. Clark. So good to be back with you guys again. I know it's been a couple of months, but anyway, I just want to get started here. First of all, I want to say that for this upcoming school year that we're about to go into, it's going to be an exciting, positive school year. But overall, one idea and one suggestion I wanted to say and share with all of you is for our special ed community, especially with new students, especially in our special ed community coming into our district, it would be nice if we can have special ed ambassadors to them, like former students to help them, help them learn and succeed, and help them in some situations. But most of all, have a connection, have, a form, to a way to connect with, with students that are coming into our district, because I have a couple of friends that are in our school district right now. But overall, I humbly, wanted to support, our special ed community in any ways though too. But overall, I'm humbly, grateful and lucky to be part of an amazing district here, and hopefully one day to work here though too. Because I'm very excited, especially to be part of the special ed community and also work as an SCA, which is something I've always wanted to do. But overall, it's something. But overall, I'll be the first SCA that is blind and also that has a guide dog. So, but overall, I hopefully you guys will accept me and also accept me in who I am. And no matter what challenges that any other student comes, I'm more than willing to help them, and overall, it would be nice to have, student special ed ambassadors to help with our students right now as they transition for this new school year that we're about to enter. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel.
you.
You're welcome.
Elizabeth Kivek Oliver.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Kluek Olivas. I'm here tonight to follow up on Trustee Lawrence's proposal at the last board meeting to retain one class of dual immersion at Bancroft. I strongly urge the board and the superintendent to support this proposal. The district's general reasoning, from what I've heard over these many months, is that part of the reason to move the program is to help funnel some students to Oak Grove. This this proposal would support that because it would allow some students from Woodside to go to Oak Grove, and then of course some from Bancroft already will. So that would support that goal. Another reason that's been offered for the proposed move is the alleged overcrowding at Bancroft. So by cutting down to one class, that would alleviate some of that overcrowding in the first year, but each subsequent year would build on that. presumably one class per year, so that it would free up quite a bit of space as time goes on. So, we support having the program at Woodside, but at the same time, we want to be able to retain the educational opportunities for our younger children, and to have the same opportunities as their siblings. So I strongly urge you to support that proposal. I think it's a very fair compromise, and you can stop seeing our faces here all the time. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Elizabeth, it doesn't look like Elizabeth. Is that close? Okay.
Hello. Here I'm also talking about Bancroft. So please keep the dual immersion program at Bancroft. Our children deserve the opportunity to become bilingual, develop cultural understanding, and continue learning in the environment their family chose for them. The dual language program gives students the opportunity to become bilingual, skill that will benefit them throughout their lives and future careers. As you could see, she speaks Spanish at the beginning of the meeting, so that was wonderful. What I was going to say, okay, almost 10 million people speak Spanish in California, so that is very important, information. We ask you to support the students and families and keep them where this program has been successful. Around the world, especially in Europe, learning more than 2 languages from the kindergarten is very common. Many European students graduate speaking 2 or more languages. So as the lady before me said, keep the program at Woodside and also at Bancroft. Thank you.
Nick? Here's Nick.
This is also regarding Bancroft as well. My name is Nick Soberanis. I have a daughter right here that is going to be going into 4th grade at the dual immersion program at Bancroft. I also have a son who's going to be going into kindergarten. My family also lives 1 block from Bancroft. We rented that house right before she started kindergarten, exactly for this program, exactly for that school. We have continued to pay the very high rent for that area to ensure the same experience and opportunity for our son. I know there's others here who purchased houses in that neighborhood. That's well over $1 million investment for safety, security, and the ability to have that, which was taken away with about 3 weeks notice before our kids had to be registered for kindergarten. I believe that you all took your due diligence. I believe you had a lot of factors that you considered, the kids, the schools, the communities at large, and you took the time and made the decision you thought was right. All we're asking for is that same time and opportunity so we can make the right decision for our family and our communities. This is a solution that probably won't be perfect for everybody, but it's a compromise. It's a good compromise. It's the kind of compromise that we expect and appreciate from our elected officials. Thank you.
Jane Anholm?
Good evening, board members, superintendent, and community. My name is Jane Balshenlo, and I'm a 35-year veteran teacher, just retired this June. And I want to speak tonight about, thank you, about the district's 1-to-1 Chromebook policy for middle school students. Over the years, I've watched technology become increasingly central in our classrooms. While technology can absolutely support learning, I believe we have gone maybe a little too far by giving every middle school student a personal Chromebook to use all day, every day. This past year especially, I have seen too many 6th graders who are unable, and I swear unable, to control their online habits during the school day. Students play games during breaks, search for distractions wherever they can, and struggle to stay mentally present in the classroom. These are not isolated situations. This is becoming the norm. We have to remember that middle school students are still developing socially, emotionally, and neurologically. Their brains are not fully formed. Many of these children have been using devices since kindergarten because of COVID. This conversation is also happening across the country. Large school districts, including LA, are already moving away from the heavy one-to-one device use and reducing student screen time because of the growing concerns about attention, mental health, social development, and classroom engagement. We should learn from what other districts are recognizing. Technology has a place in education, but constant screen exposure is not healthy for their developing minds. I would encourage this district to reconsider the one-to-one Chromebooks. I believe it would also save money on repairs, replacements, upgrades, and device management if we just had a cow in each classroom where they'd have access to the Chromebook, but they wouldn't have to carry one around all day. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Brandon Eaglebert.
Hello, good evening. Let me name this correctly. So without ado, my name is Brandon Engelbert. Good evening, President Mason, trustees, and Superintendent Clark. Earlier in January, whether you recall, I stood before this board to speak in support of Principal Alex Bennett, who weeks earlier had gone out of his way to attend a City of Concord council meeting for my daughter, who was recognized for the Mayor's Art Contest. Since learning that his contract will not be renewed, I've spent time reflecting on what that means for Monty Gardens. My family is entering our 5th year at Monty Gardens with an incoming kindergartner and potentially 6 more years ahead of us. We choose Monty Gardens, which was and remains a choice school, after leaving private school because we believed in its mission, community, and potential. Since then, I have volunteered hundreds of hours, including serving as Parents Club president and on the school site council. We did not simply enroll our daughter here. We invested in the success of the school. From my perspective, Mr. Bennett was helping move the school in the right direction. He was visible, accessible, supportive of students, and engaged with families. My daughter appreciated his encouragement just 2 nights ago, sharing that he made school, her words, more fun. And I appreciate his presence on campus and willingness to connect with the community. Based on what my family experienced, I do not believe non-renewal was the right decision. I also do not believe the district handling of this announcement helps matters. Monday's apology for the role is appreciated, but it also confirms what many families felt that was not handled well. A principal search survey arriving before families had clear communication about the principal's departure created confusion, frustration, and avoidable distrust. What concerns me most is not only the loss of one principal, it is the continuing instability. My daughter will now enter her 5th year at Monty Gardens under her 3rd principal. For many faculty, staff, and families, this will be their 4th principal entering their 6th year. I'm out of time. This is not only one example. Families are also responding to another last-minute change to ELOP, the 3rd such change in as many years. At some point, families are left asking for a simple question: when does constant change become an obstacle to improvement rather than a path towards it? Thank you.
Gina Haynes. There she is.
Good evening. I'm Gina Haynes, former CBOC member, chair, and also a longtime resident of the district. While my kids are grown, I still care deeply about how the district manages public funds. I want to speak about the recent school district $500 million bond survey that many of us received. I completed that survey and I was honestly stunned by how it was written. It would ask me over and over again in every possible way whether I would support a new $500 million bond. It tried different wording, different angles, different emotional appeals. It asked if I would vote yes if the district talked about safe drinking water, or if they used one phrase instead of another. But no matter how the question was framed, my answer did not change. What disappointed me the most is that many of the issues listed as justification for the new bond were the same issues that were listed on the last bond that we were supposed to fix: improving safety and security, upgrading math, science, and engineering, improving technology infrastructure, replacing or modernizing outdated heating, cooling, and ventilation systems. Let's be honest, we just spent roughly $25 million replacing HVAC and another $25 million replacing light fixtures. Instead of spending the money responsible on projects and infrastructures that was promised, the district failed to deliver, later blaming COVID for the lack of progress. Now, after squandering the last bond, the district is asking the community for another $500 million. And I want to be absolutely clear, I cannot support this. There is no trust that this money will be spent responsibly and no confidence that the promises made today will be honored tomorrow. I also received the district's FAQs, which emphasize the importance of independent oversight. But let's not forget, this board recently removed a majority of the CBOC members and only brought them back because they no longer had a quorum. Until you could demonstrate accountability, transparency, and responsibility for funds it already had, I cannot support giving any more. Thank you.
Elizabeth Silva.
Good evening. I'm here to support Trustee Lawrence's proposal to maintain at least one Spanish immersion kindergarten class at Bancroft Elementary next year. We have shared a list of 35 incoming kindergarten students, some of whose families are with us this evening, who have requested placement in the dual immersion program at Bancroft. These students are either in boundary for Bancroft or have siblings currently enrolled in the Spanish program. This demonstrates that there is sufficient demand to fill at least one Spanish immersion kindergarten class at Bancroft next year. Our group of Bancroft families is committed to ensuring the continued success of the Spanish immersion program, even if it begins next year with a single kindergarten class. We're also committed to supporting the success of the new Spanish immersion program at Woodside Elementary. We believe these goals are complementary, not competing. As advocates for dual immersion education, we want to see access expanded across the district because these programs benefit students, families, and the district as a whole. Superintendent Clark, you've noted that MDUSD's Spanish immersion programs are one of the features that distinguish our district from neighboring districts. Access to Bancroft's dual immersion program, which is the longest running program in MDUSD that focuses on dual immersion, was a significant factor in my family's decision to move to Walnut Creek. And I know many other families who made similar decisions based on the opportunities these programs provide. I want to thank the trustees and Superintendent Clark for considering maintaining the Spanish immersion program for kindergartners next year, for your ongoing efforts to provide high quality educational opportunities to MDUSD students. I'm hopeful a solution can be found that preserves educational continuity for current and incoming Bancroft families who have committed to and relied on the idea that this program would continue, while also supporting that growth of dual immersion education throughout the district. If the decision to retain a dual immersion program comes up for a vote before this board, I hope you will all reflect on the many, many families who have come before you over the last 8 school board meetings, including the 20 that are here this evening, 5 months later. Thank you.
Thank you. Ignacio Bate. Ignacio Bate.
It's Ignacia Perez Bota.
Ignacio.
Thank you. Dear board members and Superintendent Clark, good evening. As one of many Bancroft parents, I remain hopeful that the district can find a compromise that supports both current students and the community, the incoming families as well. We respectfully ask that the board can consider keeping at least one dual immersion class at Bancroft. Doing so will allow siblings to attend the same school, provide continuity for family already invested in the program, and prevent parents from being forced into an impossible choice. Which kid is going to have the benefit of learning 2 languages at school? My oldest or my youngest? Who do I choose? Many of us chose Bancroft because of the opportunity for our children to learn and maintain Spanish while receiving strong academic education. Preserving one two-way dual immersion class at Bancroft will help protect that opportunity protect disruption from families, and demonstrate that the district is listening to our community and to the community that it serves. We believe that there's still time to find a solution to balance the district goals and the needs of students and family. We respectfully ask to listen to us, compromise, and help us move forward. Thank you.
Nick Sobrianis. Nick Sobrianis. Already spoke? Oh, another card. Jordan Kilberry.
My wife made a sign, so I had to write it. I'm here to lodge a complaint about the manner in which the dismissal of Principal Bennett was handled. I think the communication was really disappointing. We really took the time to get to know Principal Bennett. To be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to like him at first when I first met him, but it turned out that he's a really caring individual. We had a couple of instances to meet with him on some matters with one of my sons, and he didn't just go through the motions like I think a lot of administrators would. He was very deliberate. He was considerate about these things, and he took the time to get to know us and to get to know my son, and try to make the situation better. So it's just really disappointing that we have a administrator who, by all accounts, is really well liked by the parents, by the faculty, and it just seems like there's no canvassing from the district in terms of the impressions of parents and the faculty. It just seems like there's opaqueness going on when we need transparency. This is a situation where it's our children's education and something we all care deeply about, and we need to work together and be collaborative about this, as opposed to just not getting all the facts or not even get a fraction of the facts, and just trying to catch up later as to whatever the decision is going to be. We'd like to be involved. Please involve us going forward. Thank you.
Stephen Robinson. Stephen Robinson.
Hi, good evening. I'm Stephen Robinson. Good evening, Dr. Clark, and thank you, and the members of the board. I'm here tonight to teach my kids that if you believe in something, you stand up for it. They both go to Monty Gardens. We're now looking at our third principal in 3 years with the departure of Alex Bennett. This revolving door breaks staff morale and disturbs student achievement, erodes community trust. Furthermore, launching a search during the summer means looking for a talent in a pool which is shallow at best. We respect personnel confidentiality, but we demand accountability. Because this transition is happening, we'd like to see a stabilization plan that answers 4 questions. The hire: how will you ensure this rushed summer search doesn't result in a compromised hire? The input: how will parent and teacher input meaningfully matter during this off season? The support: how will you support staff to minimize disruption to our students on day one? And the retention: what is the long-term plan to retain the next principal so we aren't back here next June? Our kids deserve a stable education, and our teachers deserve predictable workspace. Please give Monty Gardens the consistency it needs. Thank you.
Jessica Abrialo. Jessica Abrialo, there she is. You came in late.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. I am a mother of a Holbrook student and a Monty Garden student, and I have a lot of points to make, but it's basically about stability, and then instability. Life Touch has been a vendor since I was at Monty Gardens myself. 15 years ago, a little more than that. But they have been around. They're connected to a lot of wrongdoings nationally. We've all heard it in the news. I've researched it myself, and they're part of this big, huge Apollo Global Management, which the CEO is still mentioned in the Epstein files multiple times. And in a practical sense, there are a lot of smaller local photo studios that, offer a lot better backgrounds, a lot more care in the poses, a lot more packages and better prices. So requesting to cancel them as a vendor. Also, instability has reached, Monty Gardens quite a bit. Since my daughter's been there, there's been 3 different ELOT programs, and now we're switching over to Hockley. And from my experience at Hallbrook, it seems like Hockley is got like a pretty strict pickup time, which can be hard for parents. Like the 4:45 to 5 o'clock pickup time, 5 days a week, is kind of hard for parents when it comes to dinner, when it comes to bedtime. So more flexibility, such like a 4 p.m., 3 days a week, would be easier to accommodate for parents. So that's something that might be considered. And then, of course, I love Principal Bennett as much as everybody else did. And just want to show my support to see, hopefully keep him on. Thank you.
Then the next 3 speakers came after we divided the 30 minutes among the first 16. So I'll still give you 2 minutes, but encourage you to use way less.
Jeremiah J. Jackson.
Good evening. How are you folks? I am a first-year Monty Garden parent, and I am here to just report that I had an amazing experience in my first year. My son is a 6-year-old and avid kindergartner, and the environment was warm, welcoming, deeply professional, but also caring. And it's one of the things that we knew was going to be a hallmark of our experience at Monty Gardens based on reputation. We've even had the opportunity to stop in here a few times because he was curious about what a superintendent does. And with that being said, after that amazing and wonderful experience, to learn the other day that our principal had been summarily fired and dismissed with no real communication as to why that was the case, no real understanding as to what the principal reasons for that were, is deeply, deeply concerning. Furthermore, the district's communication around it has been beyond irresponsible. And so the reason I say that is because as someone who has served over 25 years as an administrator and an educator at every level of education, I understand how challenging and difficult the work it is that you folks must do. And I do appreciate the due diligence that you folks must have taken. However, you also must understand that this is a deep failure of leadership that does rock our community. And I say this with concern, not because I am pointing fingers or judgmental, but because I, my wife, and many of our friends and community are deeply invested in the success of Monty Gardens and the Mount Diablo Unified School District. We have volunteered hundreds of hours. We have donated thousands of dollars and will continue to do so because we want to support our school and you, and we need you to support us. So I am requesting that you folks please communicate with us why this change was made, what the processes will be going forward, and how we can best support you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bill Otto. Bill Otto.
Good evening, board members. My name is Phil Otto. I'm here on behalf of my neighbors, friends, and family who live in the district. I've been following the Schneider contract since it was first approved back in March of 2023. At the March 22nd, 2023 board meeting, Elliot Feldman of Schneider Electric stated the amount of energy the district purchased from PG&E would be cut by almost 90%. This was BS. Earlier this year, I put in a public records request for the district's electrical use from 2022 to 2024. After reviewing this information, it became clear that there were no savings from these improvements made to district sites. In fact, the district is buying roughly 7 million more kilowatt hours now than they were in 2022, at an approximate cost to the district of $2.1 million per year. Additionally, the district states that there's a possible loss of 36% of the solar production. This project represented approximately $92 million of taxpayer money, and the district can't seem to maintain it. It has lost, according to the district, a third or more of its solar production. How can the district be trusted to spend $529 million of taxpayer money on the next bond? And if you factor in the disastrous test scores of the kids in this district, it's clear this board and Superintendent Clark, with the exception of members McDougall and Lawrence, have not only failed the taxpayers and voters, but the students as well. Perhaps it's time to start a process for Superintendent Clark's removal and replacement, and the 3 board members to consider resigning their positions. It's clear this district lacks the personnel to manage and administer bond funds of any amount. I, for one, will do everything I can to fight another bond that, according to past practice, will surely be wasted. Thank you.
Is it Erlind Ward, last name Ward?
Members of the school board, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak tonight. I stand before you not as an administrator, not as an educator or a policy expert, but as a parent whose child has been profoundly impacted by the leadership of Mr. Bennett, our profound principal. When I learned that Mr. Bennett was being let go, I was shocked, saddened, and honestly heartbroken. Because in just 1 year, he accomplished something many would consider impossible. His approach may have been slightly old school. However, he was making positive change in a big way in a short period of time for our next generation. My child is 8 years old and has never loved school. For years, mornings have been a struggle. School was something to endure, not something to enjoy. There were tears, anxiety, and endless conversations about why they didn't want to go. Then, Mr. Bennett arrived, and something changed. For the first time, my child felt seen. They were valued. They felt excited to walk through the school gates because Mr. Bennett made the school that way. It was a high five in the hallway. It was a spontaneous math quiz that he actually looked forward to. It was just always there, genuinely ready to help every single student in any way they needed. He did what he said, and he meant what he did. Instead of hearing complaints about school at the dinner table, I started hearing stories about activities, teachers, assemblies, and moments that made them feel belonged. As parents, we all want our children to feel safe, encouraged, and inspired. Mr. Bennett created that environment, and my child is not the only one. You can see the difference throughout the entire school community. Families are engaged, students are thriving, staff morale appears stronger, test scores have improved, and school spirit has grown. These things don't happen by accident. Thank you.
All right, that concludes our public comment. Communications. Do we have any? Okay, Jennifer Scalise. Yeah.
Good evening, Superintendent Clark, board members, and everybody else here. My name is Jennifer Scalise, and I'm honored to serve as the president of CSCA Mount Diablo, Chapter 43, representing the classified employees of Mount Diablo Unified School District. I have also had the privilege of serving the students, families, and staff of MDUSD for the past 25 years. Sorry, I have a weak voice. I'm trying. I hope you can hear me.
If it makes you, we can't hear you, but you could tilt the thingy up closer. Yeah.
My experience as both a longtime employee and union leader has given me a unique perspective on the strengths of our district as well as the challenges our classified employees face. As I reflect on my first year as president, I am proud to advocate for the dedicated classified professionals who support our students every day. Whether assisting with transporting students safely, supporting students with special needs, assisting in classrooms and offices, or providing essential services, classified employees are critical to the success of our schools. Since taking on this role, my priorities have remained clear: ensuring the physical and mental safety of our members, promoting job stability and support, providing access to necessary training, and empowering employees to advocate for themselves and their students without fear of retaliation. Every employee deserves a workplace where they feel respected, valued, and supported. They should be able to raise concerns, ask questions, and advocate for students without fearing discipline, intimidation, or threats to their employment. When employees feel safe and supported, they are better able to focus on what matters most: serving our students. Throughout the past year, I have listened to employees across the district. While many have had positive experiences, I have also heard concerns from staff who feel unheard, unsupported, or afraid to speak up. These concerns should not be viewed as criticism, but as opportunities to strengthen trust, communication, and workplace culture. I have also heard concerns regarding fairness and accountability. As educators, we teach students that mistakes are opportunities to learn and grow. Our employees deserve the same grace. We are all human, and we all make mistakes. Effective leadership requires objectivity, fairness, and the ability to evaluate employees based on their overall performance and contributions, not solely on past mistakes that have already been addressed. When employees take responsibility, learn, and move forward, they should be allowed to do just that: move forward. Unless behaviors are repeated, mistakes should not define a person's career or be continually revisited. Decisions must be based on facts, consistency, and professionalism, not personal opinions or biases. As leaders, we set the tone for the culture of our organization. By fostering an environment built on respect, trust, fairness, and accountability, we create stronger schools and better outcomes for students. Our classified employees want to be partners in that effort. They want to feel heard, respected, and appreciated for the important work that they do every day. I look forward to continuing to work collaboratively with the board, Dr. Clark, district leadership, and our members to build a culture where employees feel empowered, supported, and valued. Thank you for your time, leadership, and commitment to the students and employees of Mount Diablo School District.
Thank you. Linda Ortega.
Good evening, President Mason, trustees, Dr. Clark, members of the audience. I am pleased to report that our Medea members have voted to ratify the Adult Ed tentative agreement for the 2025-26 to the 27-28 contract. The TA passed with an approval of 98.87% of those who voted. Again, I want to thank my Medea bargaining team and the district's bargaining team for the work on this contract. I know our adult educators are anxiously waiting to hear the trustees approve the new contract at the next school board meeting. I also want to acknowledge and thank all our retiring educators. Whatever your next chapter of life takes you, I want you to know on behalf of Medea, we thank you for your continued support and advocacy for all our students. I know you have made a difference in our students' lives. Moving forward, as the HR staff are busy hiring and filling positions for the next school year, which I work very closely with the staff at HR, checking in to see if there's what positions are still need to be filled. I feel I have to continue to remind district administrators, staff, and site principals that the new hires should be welcomed and given an opportunity to succeed. During the first weeks of the school year, I am informed that our new teachers do not always have the supplies or curriculum they need. These should be provided before a new teacher enters their new classroom. They shouldn't have to ask over and over for these basic needs. This is very frustrating, as when I started, I had to change classrooms several times from grade levels. I had to start all over again, and it takes thousands of dollars to set up a classroom when you move from one class grade to another. So I understand what these teachers are going through. For our new teachers, this is especially frustrating because they are not only learning how to be an educator in this classroom with 31 to 35 to 45 new students, they are simultaneously having to complete their clear credential, which also takes extra time. Instead of overwhelming them with more and more paperwork, meetings, deadlines, all we need to do is our part to support them and just make sure that they are welcome. Over the years, I have also noticed a decrease in the number of our resource specialists leaving our district. This concerns me. I hear about their increasing caseloads and how difficult it has become to fill out their caseload overages, the forms that seem to be changing all the time, and then they are waiting to be paid. There are specific caseload limits for our resource specialists in our contract and in the law, and this must be followed. I asked the HR department to please work closely with the special ed department to recruit and retain and support our resource specialists. We cannot afford to lose them. Our students see them regularly. They are part of the family. Finally, I want to address the comments that were said at the last school board meeting. As a public school educator and you as trustees of about 30,000 students, we, all of us, are responsible for ensuring that all students and caregivers are all welcome in our schools. No matter what family our students reside in, if it's a mother and father household, two mothers, two fathers, uncles, aunts, or even grandparents, all are welcome in our schools. I want you to notice the t-shirt I'm wearing today, because on the back it says, "We come in every shade of beautiful." And that's who we are. We are the Mount Diablo Unified School District. Medea is the group that I represent as their president. I just want you to know we do make sure that our students are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us to recognitions and resolutions. Review and potential approval of Resolution 25/26, 84, ordering specifications of election order. Dr. Clark.
Yes, Madam President, I have this here, and the governing board hereby orders an election to be held within the territory included in the districts of the third day of November 2026 for the purpose of electing members to the governing board of the district in accordance with the following specifications. The purpose of this election is to choose successors for the following offices. Deborah Mason, term expires 12/11/2026. Linda Mayo, term expires 12/11/2026. Brian Lawrence, term expires 12/11/2026. Madam President, I'll leave this resolution in the hands of the board.
Thank you.
I move to approve Resolution 25/26/84, ordering specification of the election order.
Second. Motion by Nzewi, second by Mayo. Okay, and Trustee Oriano, I keep going to your mom's name. For Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee McDougal?
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, we have to do a voice vote anyway. Trustee Mayo? Yes. Trustee Zawi?
Yes.
Trustee Mason, yes. Okay. Communications, we did that. Public employee appointments, Dr. Clark.
Yes, very excited. We have Dr. Emmendorfer, who is going to handle this 11.1.
Good evening, Madam President, trustees, Dr. Clark. The Human Resources Department is bringing for the board's review and potential approval the appointment of Lee McPeak as the District Athletic Compliance Officer. Lee is currently in his 29th year of public education. After 10 years in the classroom, Lee spent the next 19 years as a principal in 2 K-12 schools. He earned his MA in Educational Management from the University of Laverne. Lee is a husband and father of 5, 3 in college and 2 college graduates. When he's not working, you can find him with his family and friends and golfing. Lee is excited to join the team at MDUSD. With that, I leave this appointment in the hands of the board.
Thank you.
Madam President, I move that the board approve William Lee McPeak as the District Athletic Compliance Officer.
Second.
Okay, motion by trustee Mayo, second by trustee Nzewi. Trustee Oriano, Oriano, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Mayo,
Yes.
trustee Nzewi?
Yes.
Trustee McDougall?
Yes.
And trustee Mason is a yes as well. Okay. Moment.
Okay.
Very nice to meet all of you. Very, very excited to be here. And my wife and I are very excited to join your educational community. It's an honor, and I just want to get going, get started. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Welcome.
The Human Resources Department is bringing for the board's review and potential approval the appointment of Dr. Ethel Burton as the principal of Valley View Middle School. Dr. Burton started her educational experience in Miami-Dade County Public Schools. She served in K-12 education for 21 years, including 18 years as a school leader. Dr. Burton relocated to the Bay Area in 2020, where she served as an assistant principal in the Oakland Unified School District. In 2025, she served as vice principal at Oak Grove Middle School. Ethel earned both her Doctorate of Education in Organizational Leadership and Master of Science in Educational Leadership from Nova Southeastern University. Prior to that, she earned her Master of Arts in Liberal Arts and Bachelor of Science in Criminology from the University of Miami. Ethel is a proud wife and mother of 2 amazing daughters. She believes every child that enters her space is guaranteed the right to a superior educational experience where they leave well-rounded and prepared for career or college success. With that, I leave this appointment in the hands of the board.
Thank you.
I move to approve the appointment of Dr. Ethel Burton as the principal of Valley View Middle School.
Second.
Motion by trustee Nzewi, second by trustee Mayo. Trustee Barrero Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Mayo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Nzewi?
Yes.
Trustee McDougall?
Yes.
Trustee Mason is a yes as well. Congratulations.
Good evening, Dr. Clark and the school board. Thank you for this opportunity to serve as a new principal of Valley View Middle School. I look forward to serving the families of Valley View, their school community, and above all, the students. I endeavor to bring the very best of my practice as an educator to ensure every student is valued and able to thrive during their Valley View experience. Thank you again for your time and consideration. Have a great evening.
Thank you. And welcome.
Good evening, Madam President, trustees, Dr. Clark. The Human Resources Department is bringing for the board's review and potential approval the appointment of Julian Urmson as the principal of Mountain View Elementary. Julian grew up in Oakland and has served in K-12 public education. Since 2010, Julian has held roles including substitute teacher, paraeducator, special education teacher, program specialist, and for the past 4 years, assistant director of special education in the Fairfield-Sassoon Unified School District. Julian grew up in Oakland and is a graduate of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo with a degree in business administration and a minor in history. He holds an educational specialist instruction credential, an administrative services credential, and a Master of Science in Educational Leadership. Julian loves to hike, stay connected with friends and family, and get into a good show or book. As a Concord, Pleasant Hill resident since 2014 and parent of 3, Julian is deeply committed to keeping students at the center of every decision and looks forward to serving this community as an elementary school principal. And with that, I leave this appointment in the hands of the board.
Thank you.
Madam President, I move the board approve the appointment of Julian Urmson as principal at Mountain View Elementary School.
Second.
I have a motion by trustee Mayo, second by trustee Nzewi. Trustee Barrera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Mayo?
Yes.
Trustee Nzewi?
Yes.
Trustee McDougal?
Yes.
And trustee Mason votes yes as well. Congratulations.
All right.
The moves quickly away.
Good evening, Dr. Clark and board trustees. I am honored to accept the position of principal of Mountain View Elementary School, Go Mustangs, and grateful for the confidence you have placed in me. To our students, you will remain at the center of every decision I make. I'm committed to ensuring that each of you feels safe, known, and challenged to achieve your full potential. To our teachers and staff, I look forward to partnering with you as we maintain high expectations and continue to build strong, inspiring, inclusive classrooms. To our families and community, I believe strong schools are built on trust and collaboration. My door will be open, and I look forward to listening, learning, and celebrating our students' success together. I want to thank my family for all their support and thank you for this privilege.
All righty, that takes us to reports and information. Mount Diablo Unified School District's Education Technology Coordinator to present a review on Mount Diablo's AI Task Force.
Good evening, Madam President, trustees, Dr. Clark. I stood here about a year ago to let you know that we were going to be starting an AI task force here in the district, and I am very pleased to be able to come back and report to you what we've been working on. I have quite a bit to tell you, but I promise not to do that tonight. All of it's in the slides. But I am very pleased to be able to give you an overview of what I've shared with you. We have been working since the beginning of the year, although we were slow to start. We really picked up momentum probably around October, November. And we have been meeting regularly to discuss purposeful AI implementation in the district. So everything that we have done has been rooted in our LCAP goals, as well as our strategic tech plan, specifically goals 2 and 4, and action step 1.2.6. We administered several surveys to our community members, to our students, to our staff. And the information that we got back was what grounded us and moved us forward in our inquiries, and our wonderings, and in our decision making. We had subcommittees that worked specifically looking at our equity and our inclusion, so that we were making sure that the implementation was purposeful and specific to all of our student population. And then we also made sure that we were looking at the privacy and ethics, not only of our own personal use of AI within the district, but also with the platforms that we've partnered with, such as Magic School and Brisk. We believe that an AI foundation is necessary, whether or not teachers and students are going to be actively using AI in the classroom or not. It's vital that our students have AI literacy, that they are aware of what it is, of how it is used within our society and their daily use, whether they're actually working with it hands-on or not. We also believe that expectations for use and that communication is vital in order for students and staff to understand what role AI plays within a particular course or within a particular assignment, so that academic integrity is very clear from all viewpoints and all standpoints as we move into a more AI-centered world. We have come up, really quickly. We did come up with a staff guidance document, and that is linked there. We do have some student guidance that's drafted, but we feel it's obviously very necessary to have our students look at that. And so that is still in draft format. We have an AI literacy framework. So we went through with lots of different information to create a scope and sequence for AI. So the introduction of again, the foundation and the understanding of how it works, both on and off screen, as well as steps for each grade level to make sure that they're having an understanding of the usage of AI and the ethical implications of using it. And again, that full scope and sequence is. I would love to be able to show this to everybody, but I hope everyone has an opportunity to click on these links. We have a video where we have some teachers talking about their use of AI in the classroom, as well as some showcases where students are interacting with our Brisk and Magic School platforms, or where teachers are bringing in information from AI and asking students to be critical in looking at what that content looks like and what information they're getting from those sources. We were also encouraged by our community to have a response to the sustainability questions and the environmental issues of AI. And so we did craft an environmental sustainability statement. And we are committed to making sure that our students and our staff are aware of how those data centers can affect our environment, as well as making sure that, again, we looked at the environmental statements from both Brisk and Magic School, and that we're partnering with companies that are also putting the environment front and center as we are moving towards these new technologies. So again, we would love to say more, but there's lots in there. If you have any questions, please feel free and reach out. But I'm very excited to share all the work that the task force was able to complete. Very, very pleased to have worked with these community members and move forward with purposeful AI implementation. Thank you.
I would just like to say I've been able to observe a couple of your presentation to our families, which I think it's also really important to keep them up to date on what AI is and how the district is going to utilize it. So I appreciate that.
I also appreciated the hyperlinks within the PowerPoint presentation so that we can refer parents to the document in the future. And I hope that our school leaders are sharing that with our parents and our PTAs and PFCs also, because it's important information for everyone to have. Thank you.
Again, I just want to recognize Ms. Vallejo's just tenacity on this topic. She's everywhere. She's talking to anybody and everyone about this. There's a lot of news out there around AI, and you have to weave through a lot of that. And I really appreciate you going out and just getting various opinions and going to different workshops and hearing different presenters and just bringing all that information back to our district. So really want to thank you for your level of detail in this process. So thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much.
Okay, next will be staff report on Apex courses. Is that on the laptop?
Good evening, Dr. Clark, President Mason, and board trustees. Thank you so much for letting us share with you some of the work that we've started. So back in January, maybe December, Susan and I set up a task force to begin to look at the credit recovery framework within our district. And Apex is a tool that we are using for credit recovery. And I know that we have the contract on the consent agenda, so we wanted to provide some information with regard to Apex and how we're using it as part of our credit recovery framework. And so really, it's important for us to understand that our goal in working with our students who are credit deficient is we want to keep them on their campuses. Like going to an alt ed site is a last resort. So we want to be able to intervene as early as possible, and Apex is a tool that allows us to do that. It also helps to ensure that we're keeping students on track for graduation. And the work that we're doing with our counselors in establishing a timeline for transcript review having Apex as a tool that they can refer students to is going to help keep students on track for graduation. And we really see that Apex is a tool of equity for students. They might have just not connected with a teacher, or they had some issues going on in their life that prevented them from being successful in the class at that moment in time. We want to be able to intervene early, and Apex allows us to do that. So I'm going to turn it over to Susan, who's going to talk more specifically about how we're using Apex.
Good evening, everyone. So I'll go quickly because it's all here, but at the same time, I want to give you time for any questions you might have. The credit recovery and the original credit have distinctions between the two of them. So the credit recovery, in short, they are truncated courses that are shortened versions of the original credit version. They're used differently though. So the credit recovery version is going to be used because the student has already done the seat time, and now the student's going to have a second chance at success. And that's how that is designed. And so the original credit distinction is an important one to make because it's used on a very tight and case-by-case basis and on need. For example, if an international student came to us with gaps in whatever they were doing at their previous institution. Now they have an opportunity to kind of get back on track with the courses, the original credit full-length courses, with a fully credentialed teacher. And so it's not a replacement for that live in-person, regular school year classes that we traditionally see. We want to keep that as intact as possible. And it's not for classes that are already on the master schedule. So it shouldn't supplant a class that's already on the master schedule. Key distinctions and original credit course uses, advanced placement, and NC2A requirements. They both have their own rules. What they share for both AP and for NC2A eligibility is there's meaningful documentation with a teacher, and interaction with a teacher is a requirement in that full-length course. And again, I want to reiterate, we use these on a very case-by-case basis. We do not, do the original credit thing in the way that students can just jump into those classes. It's a very careful decision, and we use very prescriptive measures for what qualifies. So some of the things that we're doing to be as proactive as we can is to use the master schedule to really be that place where we do proactive work. We monitor students at risk, and then we also use safeguards to keep students on track. The DRF for the AP and the NC2A, these are, again, very rare cases. So we just want to make sure that that's clear. I'm going to go ahead and hand it back to Heather, and she's going to close us out and give us any time for questions that you might have.
Thank you, Susan. All right, so with the contract that we're asking for approval for, what our goal is to take the courses that Apex offers and align it to the courses that we have in our course catalog, and provide clear guidance to counselors, to administrators, to families. That we envision that this is something we're going to have on our website eventually once we finish our credit recovery framework, but a clear guidance to how Apex is going to be used, what classes will count for what. So for example, we had up there, if a student is taking American Threads, US History and American Threads, because there is no Apex American Threads, we place them into Apex US History. We're looking at, are the same standards being addressed by the Apex course? And then finally, the goal is student mastery of the standards. So with the what Susan calls the prescriptive, we call it the credit recovery model. A student can test at the do a pre-test at the beginning of each unit, and if they're demonstrating mastery of the standards, they're allowed to skip through that particular unit to go on to the units that they're struggling with. This is all during the school year. It is all done under the supervision of a properly credentialed teacher. So we want to make sure that people understand that the teacher is still involved in Apex. It's not a student going home and doing the work on their own. A teacher is still involved. And so, like, again, I said, Apex is one of our tools for credit recovery, and it's what we're asking to be approved tonight. Are there any questions?
Before we open it up to questions, just to add to the presentation, one of the things that we've been working on in Mount Diablo over the last several years is number one was stopping the tier 1 intervention of students who needed credit recovery to just sending them to alternative schools. And I think that came out clear that our goal is to keep students at their site with their peers at a comprehensive high school. Our alternative schools do amazing work, and they ought to be for students that need that sort of support. But things like Apex, what we are concerned about is not necessarily working to meet the needs of adults, but to make sure that we're meeting the needs of students. And so however we can support our students in making up credits in the best way possible, because in summer school, technically, they can only make up 1 or 2 classes during summer school. And if we have a student who's having a tough time and they fail, 2 or 3 courses or 2 courses in a semester, it's going to be really hard to make that up during the summer schools. And so whether it's Apex, and when I first got to this district, we had a different credit recovery program that was very, that was out of date years ago, and we were still using that. So anyway, our goal, and when we focus on what's best for students, finding ways, equitable ways that students can make up credits when they're having a tough time is something that we want to do. And we don't want to go back to the days of sending every comprehensive site, sending kids to alternative school for a tier 1 intervention when that can happen at their school site. So just wanted to add that.
Thank you. We do. We'll hear those and then the board can weigh in. First is Linda Ortega.
First of all, I wanted to say, Dr. Clark, we all want the same thing. Okay, we want what's best for our students. So I heard what you said, and it's not about the adults, but we want to make sure the adults in the room who are with these students are credentialed in that field. So again, I want to talk about the presentation. So yesterday I sent an email to all of you regarding my concerns with the implementation of the Apex program. I just want to be clear that Medea is not opposed to a credit recovery program. However, we are opposed to how it is being implemented. I would like to read the specific areas that Medea has concerns with. And this one is sending Medea bargaining unit work outside the unit. This is our credential teachers who've studied to become credential and put in the time to master their craft. And underemploying Medea bargaining unit members, having them go to someone else after school. Those are not credentialed people. Offering APACS courses for original credit. We've heard it's been offered. Directing Medea bargaining unit members to work outside their credential. We cannot jeopardize our members, our teachers' credential. That is their livelihood. Assigning multiple Medea bargaining unit members to teach as the teacher of record for Apex courses, sometimes without knowing or without the knowledge of one of those teachers. We've heard from our members, I've been assigned something. I had no idea. I'm told to sign this document. I never saw those students. Directing Medea bargaining unit members to perform work related to Apex courses they do not teach. They've never seen those students. And our trainers, I guess our teachers are not being trained appropriately in how to implement this program. So these are the concerns we've come up with. We've been hearing from our members, and we've been trying to work with site administrators to get some more information. But I also want to let you know that we've done our investigation. There is online and software-based courses. This is on the commission, and it says when a credit recovery course is offered as a subject-specific departmentalized class designed for students who do not pass a course on their first attempt, then the teacher would need to hold a credential authorizing the content area being taught or be assigned on an appropriate local assignment option. That's what is being offered. I understand, but it's not always the case. And that's why I'm bringing it forward to you. Thank you.
Can you just clarify if that's the cease and desist letter we received or an email? That I don't know.
That was the email of the cease and desist letter. Yes.
The email to the board or the email to the staff? I don't know.
You,
I
Dr.
never
Clark.
got an email, so I just got a
I-
cease and desist.
I sent it to you, Dr. Clark. I sent it to the school boards. I thought it was sent to you directly, and I CC the school board as well with Brian Sheehy. I sent it to Ruth Steele. I sent it to Samantha Allen. I sent it to my bargaining team.
Okay, well, I don't.
If you didn't receive it, Dr. Clark, I'd be happy to resend it.
Please.
But I also forgot to mention one other thing. When I go around and visit school sites, I saw posted on the wall these classes offered after school by the CARES team. Okay. One of them in particular said an Apex credit recovery program was starting in September. So I'm a little confused. If school just started, how is somebody already failing it and that classes being offered after school? And so I would like for the trustees to pull this item for further discussion so that you have a better understanding of how this program benefits our students and how our educators are properly credentialed to teach each subject. Thank you. I will find it for you, Dr. Clark, and send it.
Okay, next speaker is Kip Penovich.
Okay, regarding the Apex program, I'm approaching this more from a philosophical perspective. We just heard earlier that the district's goal is to make our students college and career ready. So one of the questions that I would pose to you is, does Apex do this for the students who participate in it? Or is it just to check boxes so that they can get a graduation and get higher graduation numbers and make us all feel good? I have concerns about the quality of the education that a student would be getting through this program. Speaking with teachers who have interacted with students who have participated in this, there is ample opportunity for, I'm going to call it slacking off or abuse with this. I'm just going to fail my regular one because I can hurry and get through it in the summer. You know, how you're going to combat that, I don't know. But we have literally listened to students say that. I had one this year who didn't want to do a certain thing, so they failed the course, and then in 2 days they were done. On the one side of the argument, there is this, it provides like a safety net, and I get it, to help a student reach graduation. On the other end is how quality of an educational experience is this? You know, for example, being a science teacher, you know, I don't think students do any actual labs if they're making up a science class. And I think they're supposed to. You know, they can say, well, you can virtually do it, but that doesn't replace the actual experience of doing the lab. So, you know, when it comes to this program, are there other options? You know, I've spoken with some people who said, yeah, there are other options out there. You know, what are they? I would say that's somebody else's job to maybe research. But you know, from a teacher's perspective, I will say they have gotten a little bit better about blocking kids in. You know, there has been a learning curve over the years of offering Apex where it's like the first year, I'm going to say it was a hot mess. And then people figured out how to use Go Guardian and, you know, they're getting better at it. But there is frustration voiced regularly about, it's about trying to force the kids to get through there. I'm sure there are some that are doing it judiciously and conscientiously. But, you know, it's an opportunity for kids to take advantage of, but there are some downsides to this. And I think, you know, I hope that there is some serious discussion about how effective this actually is, because it is easy and convenient for the people running it, but that doesn't make it good. Thank you.
Thank you. I would just say, and I know most of you didn't have the pleasure of listening me speak at all the graduations, but it's ironic, one of the things I talked about with the Olympic is it's our job, the board and everybody that works here, to make sure we get the kids the education they need. And it may look very different from child to child. And we might, when trying new programs, have to iron things out. But we're here to help kids succeed, period, in my opinion. So I understand people might not be really comfortable with this, but to me, it's just another tool that we can look at to get the kids college, career, or whatever they want to do with their life ready once they live our district. That's my input on it. Any other questions?
So I was curious if there was any data from this last year or prior years as to the number of credits that may have been recovered or the number of students that participated in using Apex.
I'm so happy you asked
So
that.
glad you asked.
I have a little data to share with you. So I've got the 24-25 data. The number of 12th graders who graduated in 2025 that had Apex on their transcript, 859 12th graders. Less than 1% of them earned more than 60 credits through Apex. About 73% of students earned 30 credits or less using Apex. So there is this kind of belief that's floating out there that students are, as the last speaker talked about, like purposely failing the class because Apex is easier. 20% of the students who had Apex on their credit just earned 5 credits for it. So it's being, in my opinion, based on what we're seeing in this data, that it is being used by the majority of students. It is being used in the way it's intended to, I messed up. I got to fix this class. So, and then Susan has our current summer school data.
Yes, so we have 1,709 students currently accessing over 1,939 enrollments, which would leave about 230 students in more than one enrollment.
Can I just ask a clarifying question? In our high schools,
Yes.
are we having traditional instruction courses?
Yes.
Or is it just Apex courses? So
we have each site has a combination. We have had a lot of flexibility for sites that feel that their students might not have been that successful or as successful as they wanted their students to be in some specific classes, math mainly. And those courses are being run at certain sites in person, as well as PE, because it's PE. Our ELD classes. Yeah.
There's a human in the ELD classes.
Yes.
Giving instruction every day.
Without Apex. Yeah. And then for the record, there's always a human and a credentialed teacher, not necessarily during summer, but during the school year, always a credentialed teacher.
Right.
Appropriately credentialed.
So you said, like, let's just say I failed geometry.
Right.
Right. So regardless of what high school I go to, can I go and have a live geometry teacher at all of our high schools?
Not necessarily, but we could help you to make sure that if you want that live instruction, we can move your enrollment there for summer.
But I'd have to go to a different high school than my normal high school.
Possibly. Yes.
It kind of depends on the numbers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And just to kind of, Apex has been around, Cyber High was here when you first got
Cyber
here.
High, that was
Yeah. So, yeah. So we're probably in our 5th or 6th year of Apex implementation. And it has, as with many things, right, we throw it out and we see how it's going to be used. And so that's really the task that Susan and I have been given, is to create a framework of credit recovery and to kind of prevent or put a fence around how, and put clear guidelines out to parents, counselors, administrators, teachers about how we're going to approach credit recovery across the district. And that's the stuff that we're working on. Apex is just one tool of it.
So I just want to reiterate to this board is that just as we heard about the AI task force, like there's some districts that are just shutting AI off and we're not using it, we're not doing it. And there's other districts that are just opening the door. So we're being very intentional with creating the task force. You cannot, please tell me if you can go to a district and find a credit recovery format or basically program at a district that serves high school students. So we've had Apex, we've had credit recovery for years and years. We have to have it. It's the law. But again, our goal is as President Mason said, one size does not fit all. So we have to think outside the box on how we are going to get our students over the finish line. And you know, I'm going to defend our students, that our students are not going into classes and purposely failing classes for 180 days just to go and take that same class on a computer. Like I'm going to defend them and say that that is not rampant in our district. And we have a student board member here, and I know, you know, he knows people. I haven't rehearsed this with him ahead of time, but I'm pretty sure that if we ask him, he's going to say that there are not kids who are purposely failing classes because they want to take it on the computer later on. It's just one tool, and we are trying to get a framework around it. And so I'm going to urge this board to please continue forward with that. We already have a cease and desist from Medea, so we're going to have to sit down and bargain with them and figure this out with them. I never got an email wanting to sit down and talk about this. But we have to move forward with this because our kids need this. And there's no system that's perfect. I wish every single kid that took a class got the grade that they, truly earned and wanted, straight A's for everyone. That would be great, but it just doesn't shake out like that. And some kids fail classes or get a D. And if they get a D or an F, they are not UC CSU eligible. So I'm sorry, but just, want to highlight the work that's taken place trying to address this.
Thank you.
I have two clarifying questions. One, what you've presented is a framework that provides greater guardrails that don't exist today, to address many concerns. Because if I recall, we adopted Apex maybe in the 2021-22 school year. So we've had it for 4
5 years.
Thank you. That's embarrassing. But 5 full school years and summers, or this is going into the summer. And if I recall, it was a real, like, kind of an urgent response to COVID. And so it is true that we did, like you described, we jumped into it and went. And we've learned the good and the bad and the ugly, and we're trying to, what you're presenting is to get the good.
And to just really ensure consistency
Right.
in how it's being used across the district. I think
Right.
that is something that we want to address as well.
Right.
A question that came to my head while you were giving the presentation was if a student fails in the first semester, fails a class in the first semester, they can immediately start the recovery.
Yes.
Is there a system in place or the guardrail in place to help support them to keep up because are they simultaneously continued into the second semester?
In most cases, yes.
And yeah, do you get my question, or did
Yes.
it go?
So one of the things that we're working on, I'm working with Linda P and the strategic support team on working with our counselors on how to be a part of this credit recovery process and to implement the system of check-ins and support. We talk a lot about in terms of like AP. If we're hitting the quarter grade and a student is not doing well, like what sort of interventions are we putting into place so that the kid doesn't fail the semester, because otherwise they have to do the original credit. So yes, that is part of the conversation. It's part of the work that we're doing with our counselors, again, creating this framework. We're not there yet, but we are very much aware of the need to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that takes us to board member reports. Do you have a report, Trustee McDougall?
Okay. If you can hear me,
We can.
good. Let's see, on the 19th of May, I attended the Budget Advisory Council meeting, and that's a quarterly meeting that I attended. Unfortunately, they were unable to vote on anything because they didn't have a quorum on their membership. So that's a sad thing. But still, they're forging ahead. On the 21st of May, I attended the CVOC meeting. And then on the 29th, I was the accepting fee for the class at Concord High School graduation. The next morning at the pavilion, I attended the alternative education graduation at Saturday morning, the 30th. Then on just recently, I've been out of town. Last Saturday, attended a granddaughter's graduation in Portland. And now here I am 4 days later attending a granddaughter's wedding in Santa Ana. So kind of going all over the West Coast. So quite busy these days. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Nzewi?
I want to congratulate all of our graduates, especially our own student board member. You did it. Yeah, because you're coming to the last meeting, right? The next meeting? The 2 weeks from today. You better. I know. I'm not ready to say goodbye. And I was really honored and pleased to get to accept the class of College Park and the class of the adult ed. And like President Mason expressed with especially the like Olympic Crossroads, I know I'm missing, but all of our alternative education high schools, attending adult school, it's also like I got more feelings there than my own daughters. Honestly, graduation, I said it out loud. She's never been to a meeting. She's never going to hear this. So, but I just love across the board though, of all of our graduations. I love hearing and feeling the love from the families and the parents and friends and from the teachers and staff. And it's just such a good feeling and our favorite part of the year. So I'm really proud of all of our graduates, proud of however hard or easy it was. This is such an amazing achievement. And I look forward to all of the future leadership of the young people as they've demonstrated throughout their time at MDUSD, throughout their time of their senior year. And they are, I believe the children are our future. Yes, I did go there. Yesterday, I attended a webinar it was late yesterday afternoon that I actually feel like a lot of people in this room would have enjoyed learning it was by Dr. Richard Milner. And the topic was what is curriculum punishment? I know, kind of like, oh, what is that? Oh, I'm going to tell you real quick because I'm just giving the TLDR. So features of curriculum punishment are avoiding, intentionally and unintentionally not focusing on content, even when knowledge is available. That's pedagogical power, and educator decision-making. Scripting, teachers forced to read and follow pre-developed guides, contexts, and real-time realities are not well considered in curriculum and can be irrelevant and unresponsive to young people. Narrowing, reducing content and subject matter such as the arts, physical education, in order to focus on areas that have been determined as more important, such as mathematics and English language arts, usually because these are tested. To be like giving less to the arts and PE and everything else, but math and English, because that's where the tests are. Distorting, untruthful, embellished, and under-nuanced historical and current representations of curriculum. And banning, prohibiting of books and related curriculum materials, especially those that address multicultural themes. And we know we see this. So now we've put a word to it, curriculum punishment. I already forgot. I was going to say bullying, curriculum punishment. And I am pretty confident that we mostly don't have curriculum punishment, at least especially within our own system at MDUSD. But I know that we all recognize some of these things that are happening across the country, and especially with one of the top two state superintendent of public instructions that will be on the ballot in November. They would absolutely go full head on curriculum punishment. So just as I encouraged last meeting before voting day, which most of you, not you, but most of the Californians did not show up for. I hope we do better in November so that we can protect public education, ensure our students and children are well educated, holistically educated, and yeah, you know. So thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Mayo?
Trustee Nzeri is always so eloquent. On May 19th, I observed the student and parent-friendly CAC Spring Fling, and I also attended the Olympic High School Senior Awards Ceremony, which is very moving. The graduates, as they receive their awards and walk across the stage, they're so cool and reserved. Yet the minute they get back in the audience, they're jumping all over the place. So it's heartwarming. On May 25th, I attended the Contra Costa County Memorial Day observance that was held at the monument in Pleasant Hill. And I want to acknowledge our city of Pleasant Hill and the observance committee for holding that event annually to honor those who have served. And on June 1st, I was particularly honored to participate with our Pride flag raising here at Dent Center. I too want to congratulate every one of our graduating seniors, and the graduation ceremonies were welcoming and well attended. The graduate speakers were outstanding, and their comments, like Keisha said, provide inspiration for our communities and the world's future. I also want to thank our staff members for supporting our graduates, not only during their high school years, but also during the elementary and middle school years. We kind of forget about those years, don't we? And I want to give a special shout out to the family and caregivers who have stood by these youth all these years. There is truth in the statement, it takes a village to raise a child, and Mount Diablo is a great village. I was honored to accept the graduates, the Bridge Program, and the Red Devils of the Mount Diablo High School. Of the 10 events, I was not able to attend 3 due to family circumstances. I also joined Mrs. Mason for the celebration of achievement for the project Access ESL for early childhood education. This program is offered in partnership by Mount Diablo Adult Education with Diablo Valley College. In addition to staff, family, and friends, 4 DVC staff members attended, and 10 Bridge students were recognized for their 2 years of studies at Mount Diablo Adult Education, and 11 associate teacher certificates were awarded to students that had completed the 2-year program at DVC. So in all, it's a 4-year program for our the students, and it's for English language learners, and then they have their certificate in early childhood education. So it's a win-win for our community all around. I would like to remind parents there is information posted on the website and the Friday letter about the Mount Diablo Unified School District Resource Fair, which will be held early again this year, July 23rd. So save that date. I expect to see everybody there. And for our classroom and school site volunteers, please review the new guidelines that are required by state law for level 2 and level 3 volunteers. We value you as volunteers in our classrooms, and the sooner everybody can complete the requirements, our classrooms will be full of volunteers. Thank you.
And I think I'm going to go now, so I save the embarrassment of following our student who's going to give his final one tonight and should end on a high note. A lot going on since the last meeting. We had the last ELAC meeting of the year at Oak Grove, which was a nice celebration. I was invited to a barbecue at Riverview Middle School, and all the staff was there for that. That was a nice end of the year event. They had a really interesting and fun TISP event at Willow Creek where 48 teachers, I think they inducted into the system. It's always a lot of fun, and it's really fun because I don't know if I guess the new teachers know, but as someone who's been in classroom for years, their presenters are showing them the tools to use to get your classroom in order. They're doing the same thing that successful teachers do with their classrooms. I went to all of the graduations except for Mount Debo High School and Bridge. I missed Mount Debo High School because my granddaughter was graduating down in Southern California, so I had to fly down there for her graduation. And then I went to the counselor showcase that was really interesting that they had at Willow Creek, where it was showing all of what our counselors are doing and what they plan to do, and how I like the fact that they set goals and just dealt with the fact we don't always make our goals, but the idea is we keep trying to make our goals. We keep trying to do better. I will say overall, I was impressed with all the graduations. We are turning out an amazing group of kids. I don't know about Dr. Clark. It's almost embarrassing to speak after them these days. They're so eloquent in what they have to say. And it was just a real positive year, partly because we weren't in 100-degree weather each time we were up on the stage. But our students are doing us proud. Our families are doing us proud. And I'm proud to be a part of Mount Debo School District. And I don't think I always would have said that. So I'm going to turn it over to our student trustee. Maybe in the future will be a real trustee up here, but go ahead, Alan, take it.
I just wanted to say it's been an honor to serve this year and to be part of this board. The skills, the knowledge I've gained, and the connections I've made are unique and make unforgettable experiences. Having the opportunity to advocate at the highest level in this district has helped me realize that I want to continue advocating for others as I go through college and in my career. I'm just incredibly grateful to have had this opportunity and to be able to work with other students and other district personnel. Working with the Student Advisory Committee was one of the highlights, being able to gain more perspective and to highlight more student voices across the district. To our future student board member, I just want you to realize your voice at every meeting as a representation and an extension of every student in this district, and to continue to advocate for every student voice at every level in this district. Thank you.
And thank you for wearing a tie one last time.
Just before, as I begin my remarks, I just want to say, leading a school district and being an administrator is hard. You make decisions, and when they don't go the way that many people want, then you're told that you don't care and you're not in this for the right reasons and things like that. And yeah, we have to make tough decisions. And I understand when the public is upset, or parents are upset, or staff are upset. And they come out and they say things, and we have to sit and take it. And so people come out and criticize us for the work we're doing. They come out when they're not happy and when something's happened. And I understand that. But in doing that, they make statements about the work that we're doing and our commitment to young people. And there was a comment a gentleman made earlier, and he talked about our abysmal test scores and things like that. I went to every graduation except adult ed, and what I saw walk across that stage were young people who were proud to be in this district. I saw them embracing their principals, their vice principals, their counselors, their teachers, their campus supervisors, their coaches, office managers. So we're doing the right things for the right reason. But before I go into my report, I'm going to again recognize Alan, who I didn't know before he applied and joined this board, but you know, he is this district. So when you criticize this district, you're criticizing students like Alan. And when you're clumping them all together and saying they don't try or they don't this or they got bad test scores or they're violent or whatnot, this is a young man that showed up, you know, each and every time he could. He reached out to me, you know, before meetings and wanted to, you know, meet, and we would meet on Zoom and we would go over every single item on the agenda. And I told him at the beginning, I said, the agenda and our process is just going to seem like a foreign language to you because that's what it is. It's a language that you have to learn. And before long, we didn't have to have those meetings anymore. He understood what was going on, and I hope that you know, I hope that he has learned from us as much as we have learned from him. So not only is this student in Mount Diablo, who, you know, Mount Diablo is this, we're dysfunctional, we're all these things. Not only did he complete his education here in Mount Diablo, he was a well-rounded kid who, you know, was in leadership and link crew and those things where you welcome in, you know, underclassmen, make them feel comfortable, welcome in middle school students. You know, he's also an all-league tennis player. You know, breaking that mold of, you know, just being able to do it all. And in the fall, he'll be attending UC Berkeley, which, you know, basically the last time I checked was, you know, the #1 public, you know, school, university in America. But we don't know what we're doing here in this district. And it's not just, it's not me. There's hundreds and thousands of people who work in this district and do this work. So when folks come out and criticize and point fingers and they're upset and they demean the district and the work, they're demeaning all those people. But I won't sit here and let them demean our students. And Alan is a perfect example of what this district is and what this district will continue to be.
Go get your little word.
Mount Diablo Unified School District Certificate of Appreciation for participation and dedication as student board member, Alan Herrera Oriana. Signed by President Deborah Mason and signed by your very proud superintendent, Dr. Adam Clark. Now on with my report. We are grounded in our LCAP, and you know, we're going to be presenting our LCAP in a little while, but we take these goals extremely serious. And if you ever want to wonder why we hire administrators and why we keep administrators, all you got to do is look at this LCAP. This is why we hire people. This is our standard. And we hired 3 amazing people earlier this evening, and I don't know, close to them. I think they have close to 50 to 60 years of experience amongst them. And so if you really want to understand what this district is about, check our LCAP. And if you want to check what we really value, not only do we value all students and are we committed to all students, but when we're falling short of that work, we call it out, we put it on paper, and we put the resources and the work towards meeting those students' needs. So that is our LCAP. This is our sort of symbol, you know, learning acceleration, educational equity, and social emotional learning. I want to go back and recognize this picture and really recognize the gravity of what's here. This is Sunrise Elementary School, and Sunrise is a place where students who learn in a special and unique way, but oftentimes in public education are demonized, are isolated, are not treated fairly. And I 100% will not stand for these students not being treated fairly and be treated as any other student in our district. But the reason why this picture is so important is because that gentleman in the middle there was once a student at this school. And those students, not by those employees that are there, but by just other people, are not expected to reach the level that that student did. So him coming back to this school was monumental. And those little students just, you know, loved every second that that young man was there. And so I wanted to again highlight what I stand for as the superintendent of this district and what I will continue to fight for, and the many people and staff will continue to fight as well for those students. So wanted to bring that up. I also wanted to share this picture. There's 2 dedicated officers in the Concord Police Department that serve our young people in the community. And they came about because we were having violence and, you know, we had a couple students pass away due to violence and a couple students who committed that violence. And so we have a couple of school resource officers who are not employees of Mount Diablo, so they are not our school resource officers, but they are part of our community. And this is our Ignacio Valley High School students thanking Officer Espino for his mentorship and his work and working with them and keeping them safe. And I also want to recognize Officer Cherry. Damn, I got that right. You know how I am with names. But I also want to recognize Officer Cherry, who's not pictured. But you know the conversations that I've had with these officers is, you are only to engage with the student in a police, if they've committed a felony. They are not there for cell phones. They are not there for tardy sweeps. They are not there to scare people. They are not there for anything else. They're there to build community. And if there's a felony, then they're there to step in. And so we do appreciate them. We do not want to contribute to the school to prison pipeline. And I don't believe that these officers or the chief of the Concord Police Department believes in that as well. And we do have a dedicated officer in Pleasant Hill. We have dedicated detectives in Walnut Creek, and we have school resource officers from the Sheriff's Department that help in Bay Point. So wanted to take a minute and thank them for their work. Just graduations. This was just, this was kind of the second half of our graduation. And as Trustee McDougall said earlier, we had our Saturday was kind of our alternative school day. And it's a very special day. They get to graduate at the pavilion, just like everyone else. They tell amazing stories and their families are so proud of them. And this is a couple pictures from some of those. But I also just want to call your attention up to the top left-hand corner, and that's our bridge program. And the bridge program is for our students with special needs who are 18 to 22. And I want to recognize the principal. He made it through his speech, but he struggled to get through it without really showing that emotion. And so that's a picture of us on the stage recognizing one of the students. And again, just the staff and faculty over at Bridge just do so much work to support those students. And yeah, we do that in Mount Diablo in this district. We value that. That is one of our programs. And from our teenage mothers who graduated, we're the only one in the county or surrounding areas that has that program, and to hear their stories and their appreciation for their teachers and their administrators and their counselors was truly amazing, and many of our other students. So we're all done with graduations until the end of summer, which we will graduate our students who didn't have enough credits to graduate in June, but they will graduate in July at Concord High School. We also, this is also something that we stand for in this district, and it's what the words say at top, is that all are welcome at Mount Diablo Unified School District, and that's all. And again, this isn't a political statement. This isn't we're not indoctrinating. We're not doing anything. This is a symbol of acceptance, and it's something you can see. Our staff are out there. We had a past board member, we have past administrators, and we have some folks from organizations who exist because there are kids in need who go to these organizations because it's the only place where they feel safe. And so that I want to make sure that our schools are places where everyone feels safe and accepted. And so we did hang this flag out in the front, and want to thank just want to thank the support for creating a place where all are welcomed. I sent an end of the year message home to all of our families, but this was just one paragraph that I pulled out. This year, during all these financial times, there's districts all around us who are cutting $50 million, closing schools, cutting $100 million, doing all these things. But in this year, we expanded programs, strengthened supports, and worked hard to meet students exactly where they are. So regardless of where our students are, we have something that will meet their needs. We focused on academic growth. That is our goal, academics, everywhere for all schools. Walnut Creek schools, Pleasant Hill schools, Concord, Pacheco, Martinez, Bay Point, Clayton, Concord, all of our schools. Academic growth, wellness, safety, and making sure every child in this district was held to high expectations and supported by the adults around them. The adults only exist in this district to support kids. And again, shifting this district away from focusing on the needs of adults and what makes adults feel comfortable and what is easy for the adults to do and what the adults feel like doing. No, we're here for kids. And I stated that to our parents. Watching our students rise to the challenge and watching your families cheer them on every step of the way has been one of the great privileges of this work. So just wanted to highlight that one paragraph in the letter that I sent home. Also, we're giving out community meals. So those who are hungry in our district have somewhere to go to eat. And I believe at the top it says serving all children 18 years and younger. So everyone 18 and under can come to our schools, regardless of if they're even part of Mount Diablo, they can come and get a meal. And if you know anything about our cafeterias or anything about our foods, they are good food. And I see my eyes are bad, but I do see corn dog and so I'm gonna apologize for that. But corn dogs are good for young people. But anyway, it gives times and gives locations of where those free community meals are. Another thing, Trustee Mayo brought this up earlier about our community resource fair in July. And there it is in 3 different languages, just again, showing that we value all students, all families, all are welcome. And here is another example of that. And then just lastly, as we're working now, summer school throughout the district. It's not at every single school, but it is located all over the district. We are collaboratively working on our local control and accountability plan. We're working on our annual budget to make sure we're going to be bringing our budget here tonight and doing a budget presentation. We have summer projects taking place. We are completing hiring. We have actually had to hire less people this year than I ever could remember. There are people who are remaining in this district, who are staying in this district. At one point during the height of hiring season, I think we had 10 teacher vacancies for 55 schools. I mean, that's just truly amazing. So we must be doing something right. We're going to be welcoming back our employees throughout July and August. Some of them will get some break. I know it's never long enough, but they are going to get some break. And we are looking forward to, and we cannot wait to welcome our students back on August 6th. So that concludes my report. But just again, it was an incredible year, lots of work. As I said in my letter, sometimes we miss the mark. We're not perfect. But we strive to be perfect, and we strive to keep our focus on our students and not on the adults. And that has been, that has been hard to shift that culture. But we are there, and I am so thankful for all of our administrators, for our district staff. I'm thankful for our teachers. I'm thankful for our classified staff. You know, I showed appreciation to our cafeteria staff on the last day of school, was able to spend time with them. Just so many throughout this district allow us the tools and resources to be able to try to serve each and every student as best we can. And with 29,000 students who all come from different backgrounds and learn differently and have different needs and different strengths and different challenges, it's a heck of a job, but I just hats off to all the employees of Mount Diablo for a great year. So that concludes my report, unless there's any questions from the trustees.
No.
All right.
Well said. All right. Takes us to consent agenda.
I don't think there's, yeah. I move to approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Trustee Barrera Oriana,
Yes.
trustee Mayo,
Yes.
trustee Zawi,
Yes.
trustee McDougal.
Yes.
Thank you. And trustee Mason is a yes as well.
Mm-hmm. 18.1, conduct a public hearing and review of the Mount Diablo Unified School District Local Control Accountability Plan.
You want to take public comment first or after?
Well, I don't know. Don't we got to hit that gavel?
You
Got to hit that gavel.
Oh, okay. The hearing is open on the local control accountability plan. So we have one person, Linda Ortega, who wants to speak.
It's a long agenda, so items to read. So I wanted to bring this up forward just because although I appreciate the time and work on this presentation, and I've worked closely with Christina and various other things, I just wished that I was invited to speak, because I know by law, school districts are required to engage in meaningful conversations with the local bargaining units. Sending out a survey to all community members, and I know it's necessary, and district and staff does not meet that requirement. Moving forward, I would have liked the opportunity to engage directly with the district. I would have selected some of my Medea members who've been in with the district for many years, who have some historical context they could add, and sit down with the district to discuss areas of improvement and, of course, areas that have been successful, because we all have agreed there are some areas that have that make Mount Diablo a great school district to be at. So this is how I envision, as president of Medea, to work with the district. Thank you.
Before you leave, so you're asking to sit down one-on-one with them? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, and I've done that in the past when Jennifer Sachs was.
I just wanted to clarify. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay.
No. I've read it and I saw some things in here, but I wish we would have had more time to discuss some things.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, President Mason, Vice President Nzewi. Oh, was that it? Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Good evening, President Mason, Vice President Nzewi, Board of Trustees, Dr. Clark, and MDUSD community. I'm Christina Filios Yanagopoulos, Executive Director of Curriculum Instruction and Improvement, and along with our district team, Martha Thomas, Catherine Fireman, and Brenda Barbera, we will be presenting the draft Local Accountability Plan, or Local Control Accountability Plan, or LCAP, at tonight's public hearing. The draft LCAP has also been translated, that's the word, in Spanish. The purpose of our presentation tonight is to refamiliarize our board and our community with the purpose of the LCAP, an understanding of the 3-year cycle of improvement, how we use data and feedback to adjust our plan, and our draft goals and actions. We will also present information on the budget for our plan.
The Local Control and Accountability Plan is a 3-year strategic plan that outlines how the district will improve student outcomes and address academic, social, emotional, and equity needs of all our students. The Mount Diablo Unified School District is currently completing year 2 of our 3-year LCAP cycle that began with the adoption of our 24-25 LCAP. The LCAP includes goals, actions, services, and expenditures designed to support student success with a particular focus on student groups with their greatest needs. The plan is guided by the 8 state priorities established by the California Department of Education and serves as the district's roadmap for continuous improvement, accountability, and educational partner engagement. The LCAP follows a plan, do, study, act cycle of continuous improvement over 3 years. This is not one long cycle. It consists of a series of 3 independent cycles, each representing a cycle of continuous improvement. The PDSA model encourages starting small and building knowledge over time by completing repeated cycles and replicating successful practices as you move through them.
So the drafted MDUSD LCAP for 26-27 continues with our 4 broad goals and our 1 equity multiplier focus goal. Our goals have remained consistent from year 2 to year 3 as we are looking ahead to developing a new 3-year plan next year. Based on educational partner feedback and analysis of our data metrics, we have made changes to actions within each goal. A goal of our own team this year was to write this plan in a clearer, more understandable way. You will notice that action language has been clarified and simplified across all goals to help support our community in understanding our actions and to help our staff to better implement and monitor the actions. You also notice that the broad goals really set the vision for our work for all students and have remained the same except for Goal 5. Based on data analysis, input from educational partners, and a refinement of our improvement work, we have made some changes or revised some actions and metrics. One requirement of the LCAP is that we engage our educational partners in development of the plan. In the spring, over 2,600 parents, community members, and staff provided input through our community and staff surveys, and almost 1,800 students in grades 5 through 12 responded and provided feedback. In addition, we held listening sessions with our advisory groups and have posted the draft plans for public review and input. You will see our educational partner engagement and input summarized in the Engaging Educational Partners section of the plan, as well as referenced within each goal of the draft plan.
Sorry, okay. It's her writing's bigger than mine. So we're now going to present each goal of the LCAP with the actions and services, and for each goal, we'll also present the highlights or changes. Goal 1 focuses on standards-based instruction, safe and welcoming environments, and college and career readiness for all students. Goal 1 has the most metrics for student outcomes, including our state dashboard data, such as the CASP, and our local indicators like STAR and MClass. Our actions and services for Goal 1 closely mirror the 25-26 plan. Goal 1 was updated to strengthen academic achievement, literacy, student wellness, and college and career readiness across the district. Enhancements include expanded literacy and intervention supports, stronger social emotional learning and MTSS systems, increased restorative practices implementation, and a greater emphasis on targeted student supports, hands-on learning, and expanded learning opportunities. The goal also reinforces pathways to graduation through improved credit recovery, attendance recovery, and college and career preparation programs. Based on educational partner feedback, actions 1.2 and 1.3 have been renamed to more effectively communicate the scope of the actions. Goal 2 is focused on creating safe and engaging learning environments through highly qualified staff. Many of the actions in this goal continue to focus on staff development and leadership development. Goal 2 was refined to strengthen professional learning, leadership development, and staff support systems across the district. Updates include expanded PLC and data cycle structures, increased coaching and trauma-informed training, enhanced support for special education, multilingual programs and new educators, and additional professional learning opportunities for classified staff and site leaders. The goal also strengthens employee recruitment and retention efforts through workforce diversity initiatives, employee feedback surveys, and continued mentoring and induction supports. Goal 3 focuses on engaging our families and communities in supportive partnerships for students. We are continuing our outreach and engagement efforts through family nights and education offerings, translation services, free and reduced cost fingerprinting, community liaison positions, and communication tools like Parent Square. Goal 3 was also updated to strengthen family engagement, communication, and inclusive practices across the district. Enhancements include increased school site outreach, expanded opportunities for educational partner feedback, improved translation support through digital tools, and additional family learning and resource opportunities. A new action was also added to promote intentionally welcoming and inclusive school and district environments in response to our educational partner feedback.
Goal 4 describes specific supportive actions for our focal scholar groups, our African American students, foster youth and students experiencing homelessness, English learners, long-term English learners, and students with IEPs. Goal 4 also includes actions focused on supplemental funding and accountability for schools. Goal 4 was strengthened to provide more targeted academic, behavioral, and social emotional supports for focal scholar groups, including English learners, foster youth, students experiencing homelessness, and students with disabilities. Updates include expanded tutoring, progress monitoring, newcomer supports, professional learning, family engagement opportunities, and increased collaboration with community partners to improve student outcomes. The goal also clarifies district and site level continuous improvement efforts through differentiated assistance and includes a correction to the Year 1 Seal of Biliteracy outcome data. At this time, I'd like to invite Catherine Fireman, Director of Multilingual Learners, to provide an update on our Bay Point Initiative and English learner progress.
Good evening. I'm excited to share some brief data points. As you all know, part of LCAP 4 is focusing on our multilingual learners. And so this year we embarked on the Bay Point Initiative. And our goal for those 4 elementary schools was to increase reclassification rates to 25%. And so we collaborated with the rest of Ed Services to provide support and resources on a regular basis to those 4 schools. And so you can see below what we provided in order to support that work. And so we had admin check-ins, GLAD training at 2 of the 4 schools, PD, TOSA supports ELD and ELA walkthroughs, the use of Summit K-12 licenses for all students in the Bay Point Elementary Schools who had a passed LPAC score of 4. And also we held 3 parent information nights at 3 of the 4 Bay Point Elementary Schools to help our families understand really what the requirements are around reclassification. I'm very excited to share on the right. You can see our percentage point growth. I was corrected by one of our principals that the growth was much larger, but we're counting percentage points. So you can see all 4 of our elementary schools in the Bay Point grew in their LPAC, the reclassification rates. So as is a theme tonight, while we didn't quite hit our goal, by setting a goal, we made some huge progress. Some of our schools, you can see, even doubled their percentages of reclassification. So very exciting. And we'll be continuing that work in a slightly different way for the upcoming year. And let's see if I'm going, yeah. And then specifically around long-term English learners, Dr. Clark has 2 goals to decrease long-term English learners, which are students who have been classified as English learners for 6 years or more in U.S. schools, to decrease that by 10%, as well as having 50% of our English learners make progress on the LP, which is LPAC and other criteria. We also use the program Summit K-12 in all of our ALD classes, 6th grade through 12th grade at all of our middle and high schools, and also did targeted coaching and professional development around the use of our ELD and ALD curriculum with coaching. And so we were actually able to decrease the number of long-term English learners by 20%. So we doubled the goal there, which is really exciting. And you see the raw numbers there from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. And then Christina wants a drum roll, please. But the percentage of English learners, K-12, has decreased, what did we say, 51.7%. So we also hit our 50% and more. So we're really proud of our students, our families, our staff. It was a big year for our English learners, and more to come.
Thank you, Catherine. Lots to celebrate there. Our fifth and final goal in the LCAP is our equity multiplier focus goal. As a reminder, schools qualify for equity multiplier funding based on prior year non-stability rates and socioeconomically disadvantaged pupil rates. And this year, Sunrise is a newly qualifying school. This goal must be a SMART goal: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So you may notice that Goal 5 has the most changes for 2026-27. We've modified this goal based on educational partner input, site feedback, and the inclusion of Sunrise. Goal 5 was fully revised to align with the current 3-year LCAP cycle. Our former Goal 5 had a SMART bound goal that was as of June 2026. So it has been rewritten. So it is now as of June 2027. And has also been expanded to include Sunrise as a newly eligible school. Actions were reorganized by school site to improve clarity, accountability, and alignment of resources, while new local metrics were added to strengthen monitoring of student achievement, engagement, and attendance. All 4 of these schools are alternative schools or programs, and sometimes CASP or dashboard data is not available due to the small number of students participating. So our local data metrics help us to measure improvement in a different way that's maybe more applicable to these schools. The updated goal also expands student wellness, mental health, family engagement, tutoring, transportation, and enrichment supports tailored to the unique needs of each multiplier school community. And at this time, I would like to invite Brenda Barbera, Director of Fiscal Services, to present information on the LCAP budget.
Good evening. So our budget overview for parents captures our entire budget, and our primary source of funding comes from our LCFF, which is generating 70% of our revenue, 7% being supplemental and concentration funding, and 63% consisting of supporting programs, some of which are Title I, Title II, Title III, 4, Equity Multiplier, CTE program entitlements and awards, as well as Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. In regards to our budgeted expenditures for next year, our budgeted expenditures for the LCAP are $65.3 million that are directly tied to our LCAP goals and services. The remaining budget, although it does not directly influence the outcomes of actions and services identified in the LCAP, they do consist of necessary support systems to our students' educational activities, some of which are transportation services, nutrition services, health and safety, and maintenance and operations.
We realize that the LCAP is a very long plan, and if you would like to engage with the drafted goals, actions, and total expenditures in a friendlier way, we have also provided a draft infographic overviews in both English and Spanish for our community. Those are attached to the board agenda and also posted on our website. We are receiving feedback from our community through Wednesday, June 17th, 2026 at 4 p.m. Feedback can be emailed to lcap@mdusd.org or submitted through the surveys on our website under Community. Hard copies of the draft plans in both English and Spanish are also available here at Dent Center with paper comment cards that can be completed.
Thank you. And tonight's just for the hearing, correct? Okay, I want to say this because I said this to you privately, but I want to say it publicly, is in looking at this at several committees, it's much more readable for the general public than it has been in the past, which is important. So our families, as they're not seeing a bunch of acronyms and thinking, what is that? So all of you that have presented, good job. It was much, much clearer to me this year. And I've been around forever and it was still much clearer for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love the infograph.
Thank
I appreciate that. That was the one comment I came prepared with. It's like kudos on visually making it appealing and easy to understand and read.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have another public hearing on our proposed budget. So I'll be very official. The public hearing is now open on the budget. Where's all those people? Okay. Public comment closed. Go, Adrian.
All right. So good evening. I'm here to present the 26-27 proposed budget. So we're required to adopt a budget by July 1st of each year. Just as a reminder, the budget is not something we report with a certification. It's either approved or disapproved by the County Office of Education. The proposed budget is a tentative budget. The state enacted budget usually happens after we adopt our budget. So we'll be back here in 2 weeks and maybe the state will sign the state enacted budget. Usually it's about June 25th through 27th, somewhere in that range. If there are any major revisions, we'll come back and give a budget update or a 45-day revise. Normally, since I've been here, I just give you the changes, the major changes, and we make those at first interim. So some of the sources we use, obviously we meet with staff and school sites or departments and sites, and that budget development process started in January. And so we go all the way till probably the middle of May developing this budget. Also, we use School Services of California, and we use their projection dartboard for some of the assumptions that we use in terms of COLA or cost of living adjustment, the STRS and PERS or the pension rates that we use, as well as the rates that we receive for lottery dollars, unrestricted or restricted. And then also we also use the common message that we received from the County Office of Ed, just kind of giving us guidance on what the May revised proposals are and how we should address those or how we should be cautious in developing our budget. So moving into the May revise highlights, first and foremost, the COLA is a lot higher than what I presented at the second interim report. It is a statutory COLA at 2.87%, and with the May revised proposal, the governor is going to provide additional funding to increase that by 1.44%. Some people call that a super COLA. So we're looking at a total COLA of 4.31% for the 26-27 year. Another highlight that has been discussed is that the governor's May revise still has about $4 billion that's not being appropriated for the current year. So we are supposed to be at a certain level of funding, and the governor is holding back $3.9 billion, which school services equates to about $654 per ADA. So we were translate that in just ADA for Mount Diablo, that'd be roughly $18 million that is on the table that we should be getting in 25, 26, but we may get it somehow in the future. And what that may look like is the third bullet point, which is there's a proposal in the May revise for $5 billion in one-time student support and professional development block grant dollars. We got that in 25, 26. I believe it was 1.7 billion. So that could be how we get those 3.9 billion next year or the year after that. However, I didn't budget for $5 billion. I budgeted for the governor's January proposal amount of 2.8 billion or $525 per ADA. It's roughly about $14.3 million in one-time funds. That is part of our proposed budget. Also in the May revise, it continues the remaining, it's allocating 757 million for the remaining learning emergency recovery block grant funds that they took from us, I think 3 years ago. So this would be the remaining that they would pay us back. We got we got some in 25, 26, and like I said, it would be the remaining, which is roughly about 2.9 million. And so that is built into our budget as well. Also in the May revise, they're proposing to increase the special ed base rate from $917 per ADA to $1,340 per ADA. I believe that's, if I remember my calculation, I don't have it written, but it's like a 44% increase. And for Mount Diablo, that is in our budget, and it's generating about $10 million per year in our multi-year. And then the May revise has no cash deferrals proposed for the 26-27 fiscal year. So moving on, this is the proposed budget revenues. As you can see, unrestricted funds or LCFF funds in particular make up the big majority of our combined revenues of 532 million. But as the table shows, 394 million is unrestricted and about 138.5 million is in restricted funds. And then the pie graphs just give you the percentages. 95% of our unrestricted funds are LCFF or local control funding formula, and about 76% of our restricted revenues come from state funding sources. Moving on to expenditures, this is the breakout by category and then by unrestricted, restricted, and for combined 544.7 million. If you remembered one of the infographics on the last PowerPoint that was presented with the LCAP, Brenda showed the 544.7 million, and this is how it breaks out. So on the unrestricted side, we're projecting 322.6 million, and then an additional 222 million for restricted expenditures. And then in terms of salaries and benefits, 94% of our unrestricted budget comes or is allocated towards certificated classified salaries and the associated benefits. And a good portion of those benefits are health benefits that we extend to our employees. So the next slide just shows the pie representation of those numbers that were in the table and the percentages that go with those categories. So moving on to our contributions, this is broken out by how much we are projected to contribute to these three programs. For special ed, it's a little under 71 million. For our routine restricted maintenance account, it's about 16 million. And then our local programs is 1.6 million. And a lot of that is related to our athletics. So we are looking at a proposed contribution of from the unrestricted side of the budget to the restricted side of about 88.4 million. This slide represents the summary of our 26-27 budget. So it's a summarizes the revenues and expenditures. Most importantly, it's showing that we are projecting a deficit spend of 17.5 million for our unrestricted side of the budget. We're projecting a surplus of 4.8 million on the restricted side of the budget for a net of 12.7 million in deficit spending. Just the reason why we are projecting a surplus on the restricted side is that student support and professional block grant one-time funds comes in as restricted funds. And so the budget is built to absorb our unrestricted funds with those restricted student support, because you can spend it on any operational expenditure. And so as I talk about the multi-year in the upcoming slides, that is how our multi-year is built. It's built utilizing those one-time funds to get us through the 3-year multi-year. And then the table or to the right just shows our fund balance or our projected fund balance and how we're designating funds within the fund balance. Because when we come in 2 weeks, also in terms of the May revise, the governor's proposing, I believe, $10 billion to put in the rainy day fund, which triggers that we have to commit funds that are above 10% of our fund balance. So we will be presenting a resolution along with the approval of the budget in 2 weeks to commit those funds. And as you can see, we're going to be committing to our projected deficits in the 2nd and 3rd year. This slide basically shows all the other funds that are part of the district's budget. The first one is the general fund, and you see the 12.7 million in deficit spending. The thing to note is that all of our funds have a positive ending fund balance. I left the deferred maintenance fund on this table just to show that we spent down everything that we put into it. As of 25-26, I believe it's somewhere in about 130,000 that was left. But I just wanted to make sure that we're all aware that we spent all of the, I believe, 10 million that was put in the last 3 years, 4 years. All right, so moving on to the multi-year, and I put this in here just to remind us why we have multi-years. It's to increase fiscal transparency. Also, the county reviews our multi-year to see what our trend is and what it looks like, because ultimately we're being judged that we can maintain our 3% reserve in the 3rd year out. I really do believe that it is an early warning system. It shows you the trends of where you're going as a district and what to look for, what reductions may look like, or if you do have surpluses, like how do you plan in spending down those surpluses? And that basically kind of ties into the stronger intervention measures. It helps with planning. As a reminder, the MYP or multi-year projections are our estimates based off the assumptions we know today. I guarantee you when the state enacted budget gets signed, it's going to look different as of July 1st, especially when you talk about the $5 billion proposal for one-time funds. I believe, there's an article that School Services put out that the governor, the assembly, and the Senate all agree on the COLA, the super COLA, 4.31. So that is probably going to stick. They all agree on the special ed increase. That more than likely is going to stick. The $5 billion, I believe I forget which one, the Assembly or the Senate, but one of them wants that broken out by your LCFF proportional share. So districts with higher UPP or unduplicated pupil counts will receive more dollars. And then the other body, whether it's a Senate or Assembly, they're proposing $6.5 billion in one-time funds. So I believe one-time funds are coming. I just don't know what that dollar amount is. So moving into the assumptions, we continue to use our flat enrollment. We are using a 93.25% ADA or average daily attendance ratio. Our LCFF revenue based off the out-year COLAs of 3.3% in 27-28 would generate an additional $12.4 million on top of what we are receiving in the proposed budget year. And then with the COLA of 3.09, we would receive almost $12 million on top of the 27-28 projection for LCFF using that enrollment and ADA assumptions in the bullet point before. Federal, state, and local revenues are projected to remain flat in the 2 subsequent years after we remove the one-time revenues. And most significantly, it is the $14.3 million for the student support block grant and the $2.9 million for the learning emergency recovery block grant. Our special ed contribution, we're projecting at $2.5 million in 27-28, an additional $2.6 million in 28-29 to cover increasing costs for salaries, benefits, and services. So moving on to the expenditure assumptions, both certificated and classified salaries include a 1.56% step and column increase. Unrestricted salaries also reflect the proposed salary increase based off our negotiation settlements, which is the funded COLA less 0.666. Is that 3 or 4? So 4 sixes. So that equates to roughly 2.63% in 27-28 and 2.42% in 28-29. And then you see that associated dollar amount in those years. And just know, or just remember, in 27-28, that $6.5 million is ongoing. So in the multi-year, that impact is $13 million over the 2-year period. And then in 28-29, that's an additional $6.1 million. So just those 2 years alone, you're looking at almost $20 million over the multi-year in the 2 years related to those salary increases. Restricted salaries increased due to those special ed contribution that I talked about earlier, but they are offset by shifting some of our learning recovery block grant expenditures to the unrestricted funds in 28-29. And then that's in 27-28. And then in 28-29, they decrease with the removal of the remaining one-time funds, primarily for those 2 grants that I've been talking about, which is the student support and professional block grant and the learning recovery or learning emergency recovery block grant. And then for benefits, STRS remains at 19.1% through the multi-year. PERS rates are adjusted to 26.8% in 27-28, and then it drops to 25.9 in 28-29. Overall, benefits are increasing by $5.6 million in 27-28, and then $5.4 million in 28-29. So moving on to books and supplies. In 27-28, they're decreasing by $1.2 million in unrestricted because we are moving those expenditures to the student support block grant. Restricted expenses decrease by a net of $639,000, but that is the shift of the $1.2 million, but the removal of one-time funds that are related to other grants on the restricted budget. In contracted services and operating expenditures, they're decreasing by $3.75 million because we are shifting those expenditures to the student support block grant. And then the restricted contracted services are expected to increase by a net of $765,000, but we're adding 3.75, but we're taking one-time funds away. And so that's the difference of the net. And it doesn't really change much in 28-29. And then for capital outlay and indirect costs, capital outlay is projected to remain level or flat. And then indirect costs are adjusted based off the removal of one-time funds for those restricted grants. So this is my slide that you can barely see, but hopefully it came through in the written summary. Most importantly, we're projecting deficits in 26-27 of 17.5 million, 27-28, 17.4 million, and then in 28-29, 22.4 million. So we do meet our reserve, but as you heard me, I'm shifting a lot of our unrestricted expenditures to utilize the student support and professional block grant. So this one shows the summary of both unrestricted and restricted and the deficit spent with both of those pots of funding or sides of the budget. So we are deficit spending. We're spending down one-time funds. And like I said, based off our multi-year, we can meet our 3% reserve in the third year out. So just things, this slide hasn't changed, I don't think, in probably at least this year, but just what does the federal government do and how does that impact us? The expiring and spending down of one-time funds, we're trying to utilize those funds to mitigate reductions throughout our multi-year. And then the rising cost pressures, most importantly, health benefits, insurance, and utilities, and then enrollment. I mean, that's where we generate our funding, and then just our attendance ratio. So the next slide just kind of outlines what's next. So we'll be back in 2 weeks, and then for the adoption, we'll wait on the state enacted budget, and then we'll give a budget update in August. And then before you know it, we'll be here telling you how we did for 25-26 with the unaudited actuals. And then we'll be back in December for first interim. So there we go. Questions?
Here's my question to you. Does it ever feel like a shell game that they play with us it's here, but no, now the money's here. It's like, how you stay so calm when you have to budget with numbers you may be real or may not? Kudos to you.
Well, I would say it is a shell game, and that's, as I'm trying to explain, the shells that we're moving. It would be so much easier if those one-time funds came in unrestricted, but they don't. So we're doing the shell game.
Well, this is more just a comment. Some various groups that I am involved with are continuing to advocate that we reach out to our legislators to encourage that the $3.9 billion for 25-26 be funded this year. And so I'm urging everyone that has email or a phone to call folks and say, we would like to see that budgeted or receive that this year, so that ongoing we will have more Prop 98 funds in the future years, because it will compound over the years. Even though we get paid back in future years, it's going to have more strings attached to it, and it's going to just continue to spiral downward.
And on your point, I think I just figured it out in this last May revise. That is what the $5 billion is with a holdback from last year's budget.
Yeah, right.
And we don't get the interest on it. We just get however way they deem it. So I would imagine that they're going to keep doing this and kicking it down the road based off the revenues that the state receives.
Right.
But it finally clicked for me in the May revise, like, oh, this is why we're getting all this one-time money, because they've held it back and didn't fully fund Prop 98.
And they get to look good because they're giving it to us.
Right.
Thank you for your hard work, for everyone involved in building the budgets from the school sites, because I know there's been a lot of input from every school site and every administrator, every site council. And I am so glad that we are fortunate that we are not looking at budget cuts, great budget cuts, like other districts are. Yes, we're spending down, but we're still in good shape.
I would like to make a comment.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm glad to see that our deficit for next year is down to only 12.7 million, much better than last year's 40 million. But as Adrian mentioned, this is an early warning system because subsequent deficits in the coming years are at 28 million per year. And that brings our reserve for this 3-year projection down from 118 million to 49 million, which will cause the reserve to be pretty much depleted. In a couple more years, their spending is similar. So I'm glad to see the trend is toward the less of a deficit, but I'd sure like to see us get back in the black. Thank you.
This is not for action, correct?
No.
Correct. Next time. Or is it next time? That's what I thought. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
That takes us to 18.4, review and potential approval of revision of board policy BP 3452, student activity funds. It says
For action.
Yeah.
Madam President, I would move the board approve board policy 3452, student activity funds as presented.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by trustee Mayo, a second by trustee Nzewi. Trustee Barrera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
Did you say yes? I didn't hear it at all. Trustee Mayo, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Nzewi?
Yes.
Trustee McDougal?
Yes.
And trustee Mason votes yes, so that passes 5-0. Okay, and we have review and potential approval of course of study revisions for high school English language arts courses, chemistry, earth system, and visual and performing arts, or VAPA.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. We are bringing forth our English 1 through 4 courses, chemistry in the earth system, and a variety of visual and performing art course revisions for your approval tonight. I'll just share. Teachers and district staff work together on these revisions. It's a collaborative process, and we're bringing them forward for approval.
Any questions?
No, I was excited to see some of them. Ready for a motion?
Yep, I am.
I move to approve the revised courses of study for high school English language arts courses, English 1, 2, 3, and 4, chemistry in the earth system, and art 1, 2, and photography 1, photography 2, photography advanced, glass 1, advanced glass, ceramics 1, ceramics 2, ceramics advanced, jazz band, concert band, symphonic band, wind ensemble, orchestra, art of film 1, art of film 2, film appreciation 1, and film appreciation 2.
Thank you for that.
Second.
They're important, folks.
Yeah, they are. No, that's it. Thank you. Trustee Mayo, how do you vote? Oh, trustee Barrera, we have a motion by trustee Mayo, a second by trustee Nzewi. Trustee Barrera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Mayo.
Yes.
Trustee Nzewi.
Yes.
Trustee McDougal.
Yes.
Thank you. Trustee Mason votes yes as well.
Thank you. And special thanks to Trustee Mayo for reading that very long motion.
I think, as they say in showbiz, that's a wrap, right? We are Adjourned. Thank you.